Hi, so today's video is really exciting. I'm finally gonna be trying out the new Natasha Denona I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette. So if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. It means so much to me. And now let's just get straight into it. Okay, I zoomed you in just a bit so we can do some swatches. So this is the new Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. The one thing that I'm gonna say, I was a bit overwhelmed because I feel like she just launched the new mini Starlet palette. I wanted to play so much more with this palette. I wanted to film another video with this palette, and then I feel like out of nowhere she just announced that she's coming out with this midi palette, and I was kind of really overwhelmed, if I'm gonna be honest, because I feel like she just launched the mini Starlet like not even a month ago, and it was just a bit too much for me. Even though this is probably my favorite color story she has ever done, it was just a bit too much for me. I feel like this could have been such a great November launch. I feel like she could have waited until November and this would be like the perfect winter palette. So I don't know, I feel like it just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't feel like this screams summer nor fall. It just kind of came out of nowhere, if I'm gonna be honest. Even though I love the color story and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love the quality and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be my new favorite Natasha Denona palette, I was just like really overwhelmed because I don't know, I just wish that she would only do like one midi palette a year. I feel like that would be just a lot more exciting. And I feel like at this point she's doing like at least 4 of these midi palettes a year, which I feel like is just a bit too much considering that she also does the minis in between the midis, so I feel like it's just a bit too much for my preference. I literally only used the mini Starlet once, and I feel like this is already old news. It's already an old palette. So yeah, I was just a bit overwhelmed, but nevertheless, I'm still excited. So let's just get into the palette finally. Here's the palette. I mean, that is just such a gorgeous color story. Like, I'm actually obsessed. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna swatch all the shades. I'm gonna start from this one right here. This one is called Stone. Now we have Whisper. This one is called Ella. This one is called Vague. Now we have Traventine. Now let's move on to the second row. The first one is called Delilah. I think this one is one of the newer formulas. Then we have Silhouette. This is the darkest matte on the palette. We have Muse. Now we have the shade Fair. And the last one in this row is called Filigree. Now we're moving on to the last row. The first one is called Wit. Then we have Sheen. This one is Tender. The last matte is called Mesh. And the last shimmer is called Mia. Okay, so here's the palette swatched. I absolutely love this color story. It is such a beautiful color story and the formula feels really nice. But let's now test it on the eyes. I'm probably gonna do a very simple look. I just wanna test the shades out and get a nice feel for the palette, and then I'm gonna probably do like 3 looks 1 palette or something like that, where I'm gonna do a bit more creative looks hopefully. But today I just wanna test the formula and see how I feel about the palette. So I'm gonna start with the lightest matte. This one right here is called Fair, and I'm gonna use my ColourPop E2 brush. And I'm just gonna put this all over my lid to kind of set my eye primer. I do have my Rare Beauty eye primer on. So this is a very light shade. This is not gonna give me any color, it's basically gonna act as a base. I'm gonna try and use quite a few shades just to see how they perform. Now I'm gonna go into this shade right here. This one is called Mesh, and I'm gonna use this in my crease to see if this is gonna show up on my skin tone. Yeah, this creates a really nice shadow for my skin tone. It's a really nice cool toned transition shade. I feel like these two shades look very similar. So this one is Mesh and this one is Stone. Okay, I used Mesh first. Now I'm gonna go into Stone to see if that's gonna make any difference, because I feel like they look very similar. Definitely feel like we do need both. I mean, I feel like I could have done this with the first shade as well. Okay, now I'm gonna take this ColourPop E25 brush and I'm gonna go into this shade right here. This one is called Vague. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. And I'm gonna put this in my outer corner and then slowly blend it into my crease. I feel like these tones are really gonna make my green eyes pop. Okay, I actually like this. I don't want to deepen this anymore. I think I'm just gonna use this darkest matte shade. I'm gonna do a smoky wing. So I'm just gonna use this very tiny angled brush and I'm gonna very quickly do a smoky wing. I'm just gonna take a tiny flat brush, smudge this wing. My eyes just feel so dry. I'm really having a hard time. Okay, now I'm just gonna grab a Q-tip and I'm gonna grab some micellar water and I'm just gonna clean this edge because it's not looking too good right now. Okay, that's already a lot better. Now, let's figure out which shimmer to use. I think I'm gonna start with Muse and I'm gonna use this in the center of my lid. This one feels the most creamy out of them all. Yeah, that actually looks so good. I did put some on top of that liner, so I'm just gonna quickly fix that. I mean, that shimmer is so nice. Okay, now I'm actually gonna take a very small flat brush and I'm gonna use the shade Mia in my inner corners, I guess, and in the inner part of my eyelid. That looks so pretty in the inner corners. I really like that shade Mia. These do feel more like toppers, but they still look pretty great on their own as well. That looks so nice. Okay, I'm gonna quickly go and repeat this on the other eye, and I'm gonna fix this wing a bit more, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just did my other eye off camera, and I also very quickly put on a nice glowy base. So now let's finish the lower lash line. So I think I'm just gonna stick to these midtones. I'm gonna use this shade Mesh, and I'm using this ColourPop E29 brush. I'm just gonna run this on my lower lash line. And I'm gonna dip into the shade Mia again, and I'm just gonna reapply this in my inner corners because I feel like I lost some of it when I set my under eyes. I basically did a look that I would, I guess, usually do with this kind of a palette. I love this kind of a look. I think it's really flattering for my eye shape. So I just did something very basic that I would, I guess, usually do. So now I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes and apply some mascara, and I'll be back to show you the finished look. Okay, and here's the finished eye look. Okay, I really love this look. It's a very me look. It's a look that I would usually do. I just love a smoky wing and a lot of shimmer on my eyelids. Obviously, this is my first time using this palette, and so far I have really enjoyed it. And I feel like in the last few palettes, I was missing either a really dark shade or a really light inner corner shade. And I feel like this palette pretty much has all of it. It has some really beautiful mid-tone shades, some really nice lighter tones, and then a very deep rich brown to create a very beautiful smoky look if you want to do so. So I feel like it's a very versatile everyday palette, and I honestly don't know who would not love this. It is such a basic and boring, but at the same time such a beautiful and incredible palette. I'm definitely gonna get a lot of use out of this if I'm gonna be honest. For example, even though I loved the Yucca palette, I don't think I used that one since my last video. I don't reach for greens all that often. But this one I'm definitely gonna be using a lot. This is definitely the one that I like the most. I'm a basic girl. I love basic eyeshadows and I love these stones. I own 3 midi palettes. I own the Glam, the Retro, and the Yucca. The Yucca is green, so I never use it. The Retro is, again, mauve, so it's just not my everyday go-to palette. And then the Glam is just a bit too cool tone for me. So I feel like this one's gonna be my perfect everyday neutral palette. I feel like it is just so beautiful. I know that there's so many other neutral palettes on the market, but I really do feel like this one is special, and I do love Natasha Denona. I do love her brand and her aesthetic, so I definitely would recommend this palette. I mean, honestly, I knew that I was gonna love this palette because I knew that she improved her formula so much, and I knew that I was gonna love this color story, so I'm not surprised that I love this palette. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.